Well, let's talk a little bit about the new album. It's called Free. One of the things that I think that you have always done, and I wanted to sort of ask you from a comparative perspective, is you kind of lay it all out there. You're very open. You're very revealing with your lyrics, with your music. Was this record more so this time around?
You know, that is a tough question. I don't know if it's more so. There are so many significant differences, though, with this record. I mean, I worked with a different producer, Bruce Lytle, just a wonderful guy out of Calgary. I worked with a new band. I worked with a lot of players that I met in Nashville. And normally over the years, I have used my own traveling band, and I have new management. I'm working with Bruce Allen Talent out of Vancouver, and his roster, you know, Michael Bublé, Bryan Adams, Martina McBride, Anne Murray, and, you know, little old me there somewhere in the middle of it. So it just feels completely refreshing and new. And as far as the content of the material, I think I've always sung about simple sentiment. I don't think you know, I don't think that's really changed, but I think how we've presented it has changed a lot. I think texturally, the instrumentation, even the backup vocals, which were done by a group called Shadazy from Nashville. Yes. You know, I had them sing on 5 or 6 tracks. So I just think there's a real warmth about this record, and it's not slow and lazy and sappy. It's got a lot of things going on. It's a little conflicted too, because it kind of makes me think, when I was listening to it, it made me think, okay, there's a real message here, but it's also kind of a liberating record as well. Mm-hmm. So there's on top of the bigger sort of sound there, you've also got maybe a bit of a stronger message too. I mean, I hope so. More blunt? I think, you know, my music is very much about personal consumption. You're not going to hear me at a rave. You're not going to go into, you know, a dance club and hear my music. So, I mean, I pride myself knowing that I'm in people's cars and I'm at their dinner tables, and that I'm, you know, playing in the background when they're doing housework. And so I think when I'm writing, I'm always thinking about the individual rather than a group of people. You know, so it's almost like a personal conversation, and I think that's important with the way the world is right now. I mean, as much as, you know, I'd like to be Nirvana, I think my window of opportunity is, well, there, it just closed right there, and yeah, there it goes. Oh, another window just went. I'll never be Bono. Oh, I'm gonna have to be me. So this was a great process. It was a really easy record to make. I didn't struggle with it at all. And, you know, I didn't write a lot. There's, you know, 11 songs on the record, and I wrote 11 songs. So there wasn't a lot of fat to trim off. Yeah. I'm feeling better now that your stuff's out in the yard. Yeah, you. There's a story there. Well, that was a co-write. I had a chance to write with some great people in Nashville, and one of them was Connie Harrington, who's, you know, very clever and witty, and Kristen Osborne, one of the Shadazy girls. And they had both been divorced recently. And so we kind of used the metaphors of, you know, ending relationships by literally redoing your house and smashing out walls and tearing down wallpaper and cutting your hair and, you know, recreating yourself. So the song comes across as it's not a bitter song. It's not an angry girl song. I think I'm too old for that stuff now. So I think it's very much about, just like you said, breaking out, that liberation and that freedom. And you know, I made it out, and man, I feel a lot better that your stuff is all sitting in the yard, and you can come get it at your leisure. You talked about writing for yourself and how you put yourself into a certain mindset when you do so. Now, Michael Bublé recorded one of your songs, Lost, that you included on this album. Were you writing for him when you wrote that song, or were you? I was on the road with him. I was opening a bunch of shows. I worked with Michael on and off for 3 years. We were all over Europe and Australia and through the States a couple times, and he had just brought me this music. He said, you know, I need a lyric. You know, I've got this cool thing, and he took me on stage and he kind of hummed this thing to me, and I took it, and he said, I don't really want a love song. And I said, well, what the hell are you coming to me for? You know, I don't write a lot of songs about couches and, you know, whiskey, that type of thing. So anyway, I wrote a very quick lyric to it. It just felt like the right thing to do, and I gave it to him. And I never really heard anything back from him for quite some time. it might have been even a few months. And I was so shocked that, you know, I heard rumors that he liked it and was thinking of using it, and then fast forward like 8 months later, and he had recorded it with David Foster for his record. So it was a very, very pleasant surprise that I didn't expect, you know, that it would go anywhere. So very fortunate break for me.
Now, you talked about playing with different people, and you're coming to town on November 24th, 25th and 25th, a couple of shows at the Jube,
Yep.
Easy Rock presentations. How has the show evolved with the new record, with the new musicians, and maybe some time? Mm-hmm. You haven't put out a new studio album since, what was it, 2004?
Yeah, it's been 4 years for sure. Well, I'm excited. We have some really great set stuff that's happening and things that I've never used before. Not pyrotechnics or anything. They're not lowering me down in clear plastic pants from the back, you know, orchestra pit. But I do have a new band, and I think the look of the show is going to be a lot different. We're doing, you know, some video stuff and some pretty hilarious slide presentation things involving my family, and it's an evening with, so I don't have an opening act. It's just, if I can't get my mom to juggle, it's just going to be the whole night with me. But I think it's going to be obviously a walk through the last 20 years of my musical life. We have 10 records that we have to draw from, so it's, you know, you do a 2-hour show, it's going to be hard to fit everything in there, but I think it's going to be you know, better than it ever has been, and I think that has a lot to do with, you know, like I said, working with Bruce Allen, and he just sees things differently. He's got great ideas, and I'm listening to somebody for the first time in my life, so I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really, really fun.
Before we play, because you're going to play live for us.
Yes, we're doing Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And very nice touch.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one last question. And this came out when I was talking to about you in this interview with my wife over dinner this week, and she said you got to ask her why she's never done her own television show. We've seen you perform, you know, not only on stage but also, you know, emceeing that Juno dinner, and
yes,
we've seen you in different sort of. You're very funny, and we always sort of thought that you'd make an excellent host for a television show. Has that ever been a discussion?
Yeah, I'm inundated, actually, with television requests. And there's not a week goes by where
stunning looks, right?
It's crazy. I mean, I'm very flattered, and I think if it was the right situation, you have to understand, you know, I live in relative obscurity. I mean, I have a really great career, but I'm not, I mean, I can go to Costco and buy 1,500 maxi pads with very little to do. And, you know, I think television brings this whole other level of vulnerability and awareness to people, and you know, often that sort of kept me from doing it. I just, you know, the internet stuff is bad enough. I mean, they can, you know, film you. He's got a little high definition camera right in front of me. That's what we're filming on, a little flip thing. So, you know, you get inundated with that stuff already. But I don't even know what your question was. It has nothing to do with Matthew Good, but no, I don't want to do TV right now. I'm very flattered to have been asked. I think the right thing down the road would be awesome. I'm actually really interested in radio. I think it would be really fun to do something out of my home that I could literally be in, you know, my pajamas.
I'll give your name to the boss.
Yeah, and talking to cool people, and TV, it just seems like a lot of work. You have to do your hair every day and wear nice ensembles and stuff like that.